guitarist, and the goal here is not to sound like anyone else. It's to sound like you, and to liberate your feelings from your heart to the world so people can hear them. That's all this is. It's a feeling liberating machine. Miles Davis said, quite famously, the hardest thing to do in music is sound like yourself. Thank you, Miles. Yes. That's because you think you're supposed to play like everyone else. But no, what the world needs is for you to play like you. Whatever that is. You know, what music really is, you know, an attempt to make an emotional connection. For me to get these complex, indescribable emotions across to you, right? So, okay? But again, heart, soul, communication first. Numbers, math, after. They're in there, a vibrating string. And by the way, this is part of the reason that organic instruments sound so much more, I say this with great respect, but there's some computer synth-based instruments don't have overtones. They're pure tones, and that's part of the why they sound cold sometimes. Even though there's been some beautiful music written in that realm. I'm not dissing any kind of music. I love music. But I will say that if you ever go sit with an orchestra, you'll just be in tears because there's 90 people with stringed instruments and all those overtones are bashing into each other in real space. And the sound is just, the first time I got on stage and played with an orchestra and they were wrapped around me, I almost fell over. My knees got weak when they started to play in harmony. Pulling out all those, lining up their magical overtones together. It was just, I almost fell over. It sounded so good. But so the message is coming through, right? That music is a series of false peaks. You're climbing the mountain, you think you're about to get it. Oh, the overtone series, oh, I get that. Oh, I'll just learn that, I'll learn that element. You get to the top, you peek your head over, and there's a whole nother range of mountains twice as high behind. None of us will ever get there. All the language, all the math, all the chords, everything is all just a signpost that goes back to our cave people who were sitting around the fire and wanted to be together and communicate emotions back and forth to each other. That's the way I look at it. It's emotional. When I play with any of the musicians that I'm lucky enough to play with, but I'll pull one out of just for an example. When I play with John Fishman, I'm so inside of his, it's so easy for me. It's sort of always been that way, but I can climb inside of his soul through division of rhythm, through, you know, if I'm doing tension and release, which is just what I just showed you, if we're jamming on Weekapog, which is in D, and I do this overtone-y kind of tension, and then he'll go like, I feel you, I'm going there with you. And then like I go, he goes, da, 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 and I go, like, it's like the universe is like a huge, giant open tube. And I get it. I get, I'm speaking. My heart is melding and I'm speaking with my friend. This is what I want everyone to have. I'm trying to do this to explain that you can make a simple song, and yes, this stuff can be launched out into technical complexity, but it isn't. It isn't. You don't need it. It's there, you know what I mean? But it comes back to communication, love, hearing, listening. You hear that song and you're in communion with nature, you know what I mean? That's what it is. But to finalize with your question again, back to the question, I know that, you know, people who are high-level mathematicians probably can see things through that language about time and space that I wish I could see. I don't understand that stuff, but music will do the same thing for you. And you just learn one thing, series of false peaks, learn one, climb that mountain, and then learn the next. So, and then we'll add that to it, and I'll change it, and I change it, and I change it, and I do that all day long. And then 10 minutes before we walk on stage, I rip it up and throw it out. And then I walk on stage, and I have a whole pre-stage ritual too that I do that's very important to the letting go. But when I walk on stage, I pretty much like train myself to like go completely blank until like I step up, I pick up my guitar, I look at the people in the audience, and I know what to play. I just do, and I believe that I do. And it's like ritual and preparation in combination with abandonment. And I think that virtually any person you talk to that probably whose life, work exists in a state of flow probably combines those two things. There's a lot more preparation than might be seen, but there's also probably a lot more abandon than might be believed.